In this presentation, we will talk about geothermal power generation. Introduction to geothermal power generation. Geothermal energy is a type of renewable energy taken from the earth core. It comes from heat generated during the original formation of the planet and the radioactive decay from materials. This, this thermal energy is stored in rock and fluid in the center of the earth. Direct geothermal energy can be accessed in area like hot springs. There are three geothermal power plants technologies being used to convert this type of energy to the electricity. That is dry steam, flash steam, and binary cycle. The first technologies is dry steam. Dry steam power plants use hydrothermal fluids that are primarily steam. The steam goes directly to a turbine which drive a generator that produce electricity. The steam eliminates the needs to burn fossil fuels to run a turbines. This is the oldest type of geothermal power plants. It was first used in Italy in 1904. This form of power plants require the least amount of fluid movement, but is require the highest temperature. It can only be utilized in areas where the temperatures underground is relatively high. Next technologies is flash steam. The most common type of steam plants is this type due to the lack of naturally occurring high quality steam. When using this technique, the water must be hotter than 180 degrees and flow through at its own pressure. This temperature is lower than dry steam plants. Some of the water flash to the steam as the pressure drop and it's then fed through the turbine area. The water that did not turn into steam is cycled back down and can also be utilized to the heat steam. These systems are more expensive since the components are more complicated, but they can still compete with traditional power source. The last technologies is binary cycle. As geothermal energy is used outside of the established hotspot, binary power plants are anticipated to become the most popular kinds of geothermal power plants. This is due to the fact that binary cycle plant has a lower water temperature tolerance than the two other plants type. They employ a secondary loop that holds a liquid that having low boiling points like pentanes and butanes. Because it has low boiling points, the water from the well vaporizes as it passes past a heat exchanger which transmit heat to the fluid. It then goes through a turbine performing the same function as a steam.
So how many population get access from the geothermal power generation is plus minus 17% of the world population get access from the geothermal capacity. So Southeast Asia is home for 25% capacity of geothermal energy. Due to its location to Ring of Fire region, which is located around the volcanic center, so it increased our capacity in produce the geothermal energy. But in Malaysia, we don't have we used to have, but now we don't have the geothermal power generation. So in 2009, the capacity increased twofold from 2005, which is at the end of 2009. The geothermal capacity is 50,583 megawatt. Government commitments to promote the sustainable and the cleaner power generation in geothermal type is in Malaysia we don't have the specific promoting on geothermal power generation because we don't have the geothermal power generation, but Malaysia have initiative to have a cleaner any power generation. So basically in Malaysia the majority power generation in here used coal as the source, but coal is low cost but is dangerous to environmental issue. So Malaysian so the commitment that government did to promote the sustainable energy is to explore the new potential of energy source such as geothermal and wind, because both source is the sustainable and environmental friendly source. Second, the action to power system investment. So as we know, geothermal is a high cost power generation. So to build the geothermal power generation, you need to use the huge cost to build the geothermal power generation. So to promote the sustainable energy, we need to invest in infrastructure upgrade and energy store to support a future. Also consider a potential of market reform. To compare three Southeast Asia power generation, so in geothermal, so in Malaysia we used to have the geothermal in Tawau, Sabah in 2016, but at the end of 2018 is abandoned and no sign of activity, and the hole has been sealed off and the drill has been stopped at the early of 2017. The energy from the Tawau geothermal power generation is from the extinct of volcano of Mount Maria in Apas Kiri, Tawau, Sabah. So where is the drilling has depth 1,449 meter. So in Southeast Asia we have another two power generation, which is the top three largest geothermal power generation, which is in Indonesia and Philippines. So Indonesia and Philippines locate in the Ring of Fire region, located around the volcano in Southeast Asia. So the source of geothermal is huge and renewable. So the capacity of the geothermal energy is huge and can supply to a region. So the first largest geothermal energy the first geothermal power generation, so the largest one is United States, which is the most of the state in United States use geothermal and wind sources to produce their electricity. Geothermal and wind is a high cost power generation, but it's renewable and environmental friendly.
There are a few advantages of geothermal power system, which is the first one is environment friendly. Geothermal energy is more environment friendly than conventional fuel sources such as coal and other fossil fuels. In addition, the carbon footprint of a geothermal power plant is low. While there is some pollution associated with geothermal energy, this is relatively minimal when compared to fossil fuels. And the second one is stable, which is geothermal provide a reliable sources of energy as compared to other renewable resources such as wind or solar power. This is because these resources is always available to tap into, unlike the wind or solar energy, which is depend on the weather. And the last one is high efficiency. Geothermal power generation has the high efficiency among the power generation because it uses 25% to 40% less electricity, since the power generation doesn't need to boil the water to get the steam to generate the electricity, unlike the other power generation. And it also having a less cost of maintenance because the power generation doesn't have a lot of equipment to build and maintain the electrical supply. And then we move to the disadvantage of geothermal, which is the first one is location restricted, because the largest disadvantage of geothermal energy is that is a location specific, because geothermal plant needs to be built in a specific place where the energy is accessible, which means that some areas are not able to exploit the resources. And then the second one of disadvantage of geothermal is high cost, because other than one of the advantage, geothermal is high initial cost, especially for individual household. This is because we need to drilling and installing a quite complex system into one home. This make the price climb quite high. And the third one is environment side effect. Although geothermal energy does not typically release greenhouse gases, there are many of these gases stored under the earth's surface which are released into the atmosphere during the digging. While the gases are also released into the atmosphere naturally, the rate increase near geothermal plant. However, these gas emissions are still far lower than those associated with fossil fuel. So the environment issue is when we use water and steam from within the earth, which increase the risk of land being unstable near a volcano or hotspot. This causes a receiver or gradually sink over time, but it is preventable by injecting steam through an injection which lower the risk of land subsidence. Other than that, there is always a chance happen an earthquake at geothermal power plant. This is true because we need to dig a hole that is close to a volcano or hotspot.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Shakir bin Muhammad Anwar. My metric number is 2010911015. I will present about the conclusion of geothermal power generation. From these studies, I can summarize that geothermal resources are renewable because of the constant heat flow from the Earth's interior, so it like geothermal system can be recharged like a battery. Then, this power system using the natural flow of geothermal springs and has no effect on them because it functions like using the spring water. The system functions like we take hot water spring to generate power. After that, the water became cool. Then we inject back the cool spring water to the interior earth. So from that we can say that we constantly using the spring water. Then we also can say that geothermal energy is more dependability because it availability 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it's not affected by weather, unlike the other power system like wind, solar that depend on the weather. So one question comes in our mind: what is the important advantage of this power system? We know that geothermal has been used for a variety of functions, including room heating and cooling, balneology, heating greenhouse, thermal treatment, and energy production. The use and importance of geothermal energy have grown all over the world, and its percentage of overall energy output has lately increased. Although it is still insufficient, there are a lot of important advantages of this power system, but we take two that suitable to be highlighted in this study. First, geothermal energy is renewable and sustainable. The sustainable energy important because of produce a little of global warming emission. By choosing sustainable energy resource and committing to clean energy, humans can effectively slow down the acceleration of climate change. Although of heat produced by the earth for millions of years, and because after injecting hot water or steam into the ground, heat is used for various purposes, and water formed during the process of taking the heat of fluid is injected into the earth, but it will not deplete like fossil fuel reserve. So we can say that geothermal energy is sustainable energy. Second, geothermal energy is a clean renewable energy source that has the potential to significantly improve our environment. Geothermal energy also has the potential to significantly cut air emission from fossil fuels, while also offsetting the air emission from fossil fuel-fired power plants. For more understanding, this table 1 will show the data compares the geothermal energy with coal in terms of hazardous gas emission. It goes without saying that geothermal energy, whose gas emissions are minimal, it is clearly considered to be ecologically beneficial. So that's all from us. Thank you.